Wala na lang muna.
This is recording. Ayan.
Okay. Claro.
Recording the outtakes also.
Yeah.
So the big question is, who the heck are we?
Ito ang
Ulit? Sorry.
Just keep it natural lang. Wag lang wag nang yung make it sound na parang you're
Exag, announcer mode. Wag mo na.
Let's just keep it really conversational lang.
Okay.
Yun lang naman.
Yeah.
Sige, go.
So here in, I think what is our pilot episode of Who the Heck Are We? This is Claro Manzano. There's Lawrence Fernandez. Claudia Perrine. Am I pronounce that right?
Well done.
Yes. Because I think I read it first the wrong way, so I figured it out eventually.
Yes.
And of course, Sir J. De La Cruz, last but not the least. So, who the heck are we, right? To talk about things. I have a question. We saw, well, amongst ourselves, something for us to talk about. So I saw this on Slam PH last night, and they did say, they did tweet, remember the first batch of Asian imports back in 2015. So that's a TBT, because you have guys like Sam Douglas, Kim Ji-won, sino pa nandito? Jet Chang, Taiwan, Omar Krayem, Sanchir Tungalag, Mongolia.
Diba? Si Muhammad Shamsidi.
Yeah. So all these guys. So, of course, we got used to the fact that we have the usual, imports who brought in from USA, but we had these Asian imports for a moment. So what happened maybe here to these imports? Or that's 5 years ago already.
2015 was it
20, well, I think that's when they started. Am I correct, Sir J?
2015, parang tagal. Parang kailan lang yun
Yeah.
Parang kailan? It was not just so long ago na nakita ko sila Mitchell Madanli. Oo, those guys. And I remember even reading an article na si Mitchell Madanli gusto mag-settle dito, di ba? Kasi, of course, it's Syria. Mukhang magulo doon sa bansa nila. Pero, that's just 2015. This was 5 years already, no? 2014, 2015. Pero, Asian imports, personally, it was a good idea sa PBA. Actually, I personally wanted it. Pero, in some ways, I want to see more kasi ang mga gusto mong makita. For sure, the PBA, imagine it na ang makikita lang maglaro, the likes of Samadnik Habarami,
Yeah.
And
guys like him.
Fadi El Khatib, di ba? Pero we got mga staple din sa Asian basketball, the names in the Asian basketball, pero again, they're not some kind of people that would really na fans would look forward to watching, di ba? Pero personally, I wanted it. I wanted imports. I wanted to happen din again. Tapos, inisip ko nga may personal proposal kung halimbawang kung magkakatotoo yung personal wish ko na maging diktador ng Philippine basketball. Na lahat ng sasabihin ko masusunod. Pero di mangyayari yun. But my personal proposal is on if ever the PBA reverted back to the two-conference format, yung import-laden conference will feature 2 imports with a combined height of 13 feet. 13 feet pag pinagsama. One would be a world import, one would be an Asian import. So it doesn't matter kung sino yung mas matangkad doon, sino yung mas maliit. Basta kailangan combine sila 13 inches. That's yung personally gusto makita.
Sir
It's
Jay,
actually interesting, yeah.
Interesting. But why did you think of that? What was your thinking? Kung ba't gusto mo yung two import conference?
Well,
Tama.
Kasi imagine the PBA has they have this honor of being titled as the Asia's first ever play for play league, di ba?
Pro League.
So since gano'n na yung title nila, why not incorporate din other Asian players? Well, hindi naman sila stranger din sa sa Philippine basketball fans Pero again, reservations dito, ano ba? Aabangan ba sila talaga ng fans? Or I don't know. Yun yung iniisip ko rin reservations, iniisip ko na hindi rin tinuloy ng PBA. But
I think one thing, let's just say, on the cream of the crop, you're a basketball player, whether it be, pro, PBA, or lalo na NBA player, you're like a god in the Philippines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One player, you bring in Kobe, you bring in KD, LeBron, they easily filled up Araneta, Mall of Asia Arena.
Yeah.
That's just one player. Yeah. So maybe these guys can somewhat get that rock star treatment here, or maybe it's a case-to-case basis with those players.
Yeah.
Claudia, you know these players more.
Yung sa two conference import, to go back to you, I like actually also the idea of an Asian import.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? Kasi Philippines tayo, we have to love our neighbors, diba? And then bring in, I think that was also the PBA's goal, was to let the audience in our neighbors, mga from Taiwan, diba? To watch the PBA para at least make connection. I think that was one of their goals, no?
Mm-hmm.
Pero but kailangan pa two imports in one conference? Why couldn't they do one Asian import conference?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? I think that could have worked. I don't know. Diba? Parang saya nun eh. I remember even fact, yung Meralco player, Ayo, yung Japanese, he played against in Taiwan. Tapos nagkakasigawan the people inside Araneta and MOA.
Si Ando, Japanese.
Oh, the Japanese player. And then one in Taiwan, yung nag one-on-one sila. There was hiwawan eh. So there was a moment in time that nagustuhan ng audience,
East Asian rivalry.
East Asian rivalry. So there is a potential. Pero to make it two imports, anong value ng kawawa naman the local players, diba? They work so hard for a year, tas biglang mawawala yung playing time nila from someone who's, just because he's from Asia or from an import, mawawala.
So we segue on that opinion of yours also, maybe, Claudia. Lawrence, what do you think about this Asian import in the PBA? Asian imports in the PBA?
Yeah, it's a good attraction actually. But in terms of marketing standpoint, I'm not sure if the PBA was able to back it up in terms of distributing the games to an Asian audience. So it's nice to have players that come in from different regions to somehow help also improve the popularity of the PBA to other regions of the country, the region, because at that time, I guess 2005, it was a time wherein the other leagues are starting to not really emerge but to gain a foothold of fans. So parang I guess the PBA saw it an opportunity to have an interconnectivity between the leagues, sort of like collaboration and a connection amongst the leagues. So they're giving an opportunity for these Asian imports to highlight themselves in another platform, which is the PBA, which during that time, and arguably still one of the more prominent pro leagues in Asia. 2005, we're talking about 2005. What did it in? Parang why it didn't work? Well, number one, distribution. Number two, well, let's face it, most of the Asian imports did not get much playing time also when they went here.
Yeah.
Parang, alam mo yun, parang naging token imports na lang sila pagdating nila dito. Import pala na Asian. Ganun. Parang, only the diehard fans and, well, members of the media and people who would research it would know na, may Asian import pala sila. Because they don't get much playing time despite their talent na proven na in other parts of the region, Asian region. And also number three, why is it hard to have Asian imports again right now? Kahit na gusto nating magkaroon ulit. Basketball schedule kasi is year-round eh. And the development also of the other leagues in Asia. And may mga leagues ka pa like the invitationals, like the Super 12, something like that. And also the ASEAN Basketball League. So even
May
this
Big
Asian
East pa,
imports, yes, Big East, they all have these avenues already to play elsewhere aside from the PBA. So yun yung nagkakaagawan ka na tuloy ng imports ng players. So sometimes an Asian player parang lock between two decisions. Parang I have an offer to play in the ABL and I have an offer to play in the PBA. Parang sometimes they might choose being in the ABL because of the reach, because it covers more ground. They get to travel. Siguro that's a perk already. And also, they have seen what happened to the fate of Asian imports also in the PBA. Na I know these players are talented. Kung ako, Asian import. So I know the history already na hindi naman masyadong palalalaro yung mga Asian imports. So it might discourage me also to come in.
Yeah.
It's a nice attraction, yes, having Asian imports. Pero like do it correctly. One way to do that. Maganda yung having two imports, one world import and one Asian import. Pero if you can like twist it some way na if the Asian import is playing inside the court, the world import must be outside. Parang ganyan. Like what they did in the UAAP na no two foreign players are inside in the same
only
game.
one at a time,
One at a time. So parang ganyan to give the Asian import then much exposure while playing inside the court. So,
mahirap din yun kasi parang kung yung American in world import ang magaling, bangko na naman yung Asian import.
Yes, most likely. Yung world import talaga yung magaling.
Because the USA is ahead. Yeah, skill-wise.
So if ever, pag ganyan, parang you get two imports of the same position and then you replace them with one another.
That's tough already, having to look for two players of the same position. Yeah. Pero I think Go ahead, guys.
Pero considering, kasi again, balik tayo sa issue ng kung halimbawa ako naman yung player, yung sinabi ni Lawrence kanina, na kung ako yung player, I have these different options of playing in this certain leagues. What do you think na ano yung mag-attractive doon sa player niya? For example, I am Fadi El Khatib. I'm getting offers from these various leagues. I'm getting offers from China. I'm getting offers from Japan. Then I have this opportunity to play in the Philippines. Kung magkaroon kung sumulpot. Hypothetically, may opportunity na mag-play sa Philippines. What do you think yung mga nako-consider nilang factors for these Asian imports na to choose the leagues that they're playing? Kasi it would be a factor then if ever the PBA decides to bring it back. Kasi if I am the PBA, I want to attract the big stars ng Asia, di ba? So if ikaw naman yung player, what will make you decide na, I want to play in this league?
Yeah, I think some stuff to point out. If you're going to play as an import in the Philippines, I think first is you will be a rock star because Filipinos love their basketball. I think the second one is
good point.
Yes, the level of play is up there. We could say siguro, but if you're an import, whether Asian or world, in the PBA, you cannot have an off night. One off night, you can get shipped out. Yeah. Like teams have backup imports in all these things. So it's gonna, I think that's one tough thing also. And then you fly in and then you might have to suit up for a game and then you're jet lagged already. I know that some imports have to do that stuff here in the PBA. Snap of a finger, they come in and then they have to play all of a sudden. But going back, I think this thing of Asian imports got like the sports geeks into it. Similarly to what you guys said. Like I was excited Douglas was gonna come.
Yeah.
But not everyone.
It's actually a big name. So.
Because he is a big name really in Asian basketball. These are the guys who'd go, where the heck is Jimmy Alapag when he did not suit up for the national team back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero considering this thought, the likes of, again, we considered Sam Douglas a big name already. Naglaro siya dito. So, hindi na sustain yung momentum So, is this might be an issue na, or naglalaro ba rin yung thought na in the end, Filipino players are still dominant individually over these Asian players dito?
Good question. Very good question. I think our level of play went up na. I think in terms of our neighboring Asian countries, I think our level of play umangat na. It's gone up. Yeah, it's gone up. So there is that factor na our level of play siguro against the Japanese or the individually, I think we're at par with them also.
I think we were ahead of Japan for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then they started to catch up. You see now Japan could beat us.
Yeah, they started to catch up because they have this Japanese foreign players like Hachimura, and they're able to develop out.
I'm sure they have their program.
Yeah.
They have a good coach.
But individually, if you put an import here individually, like an individual, I think tama din si Jay na siguro the reason why walang Asian import masyado is we could natatapatan natin. Diba? Natatapatan ng local player.
Tsaka kasi 'di ba, ang expectations ng mga imports dito sa Philippines, grabe. Pag sinabing import ka dito sa PBA, you need to be a triple-double machine, and yung triple-double na hindi yung 20-10-10, 'di ba? Dapat mga tipong 35, 15, and 15 ang averages mo.
Import is synonymous to Superman in the PBA. These guys really do put up a show. Yeah.
You are expected to do good.
Ayun.
And carry the entire team on your shoulders. I remember one interview with Josh Poon in one of the podcasts. So he played briefly for San Miguel, and his contention was the toughest thing about playing in the PBA, you have to be ready since day one, even without practice. As long as you fly in and there's a game tomorrow, you have to be ready already. You have to ready to suit in and play your A game, even without practice, knowing the system, or not even having enough sleep because you still have jet lag. So that's one of the things that did not help Josh Boone have a lengthy stint in the PBA.
Yes.
And when it comes to Asian imports, you're right about the fact na individually, one-on-one, kayang-kaya natin yung mga Asian imports. But I guess some of the factors that do not attract them to come in here, well, number one, money always talks. So if you get paid higher elsewhere, why come here? And number two, the style of game is different compared to the Philippines. So if you are accustomed to Korean basketball or Japanese basketball, wherein it's flow and motion,
international style na siya.
Yes, international style, diba? And then you come into the Philippines na we are still inkling towards the American style of basketball. So that's why there's a reason these Asian imports gets lost also in translation. Kasi hindi ito yung basketball na alam ko eh. And even the coaches, dahil nga the system is there, how do I use this Asian import? Ngayon, parang how does it fit into the system? So
you don't change your system because of one person.
That's true. Yeah.
Tama.
These guys maybe
tama yun. No.
These guys are used to. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Yan, so kaya ngayon, kung Asian import ka, and then you have an opportunity to play in a league that adheres to your style of basketball as compared to, let's say, the PBA that plays a different brand of ball, di doon ka dun sa sanay ka kasi you'll thrive in that system and you'll be able to perform individually at the highest level, maybe even win individual awards. So I guess yun yung dalawang factors that I see why Asian imports are having second thoughts coming here. Although it's a nice idea to have them back also.
Yeah, it's really nice for like the sports aficionados. Maybe given you said they're used to flow and motion, and that means they're used to all that off-ball movement.
That takes out also the European imports, if ever.
Yes, we didn't really have European imports. We didn't really have European imports in the
Yes, parang mahirap it's hard to remember a European import.
I can recall European import and Yang Yao Yusin. Do you remember Bruno Sundov? That 7-foot guy na naging import.
Yes, Bruno Sundov, yes.
Yes. Well, depende rin sa coach yan kasi if you have the likes of Coach Yang Yao who's really into free-flowing and if he's the one who has the closest semblance of a European style of play, si Coach Yang, na basta pag libre ka, tira mo na kahit saan pa man yan, kahit sa midcourt pen o sa parking lot, di ba? Basta libre ka, tira mo na yan. So if anything, yung European European imports, siguro, at some extent, might consider pa. But again, ang considerations nga sa import dito, you need to average like 35, 15, and 15 eh. Now, kung i-consider mo yung ganong standards, kung ganong bar, sino bang Asian player ang kaya mag-average nun dito sa Pilipinas?
That's like the type of
ayun,
player.
Ang hirap, di ba?
Hirap.
Even Jen yan, I think cannot average 35, 15, and 15 here.
Kasi sanay sila to distribute stats eh.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. But
they're
yun yung
not
sinasabi ni
dominant,
Warren.
di ba? Hindi sila individually dominant.
Yeah,
That's-
ball-dominant players get those numbers.
Yun yung
Yeah.
part, that's the reason why for so long, parang the Philippine team has had difficulties with South Korea. Kasi
Ayun.
they do have their stars, they do have their, alam mo yun, they do have their main weapons, pero it's parang it's diluted din na siya ba talaga yung main guy nila when this guy can also hit all of the 3-pointers when I don't guard him. So yun yung yun yung style talaga nila eh. It's not really about who's dominating eh. Parang as long as we win.
Sa isa pa din
Tama.
good consideration yung Korea. Who's their naturalized player? Si Ricardo Ratliff, di ba? Well, he has this one role talaga sa team na yon, pero yung role na yon
Rebound.
is still incorporated pa rin
In
sa
the
team
system.
concept eh.
Oo.
Fitting in like a glove. They got what they needed.
They
Diba
got they fit it. Yeah, they fit his they fit the need. Tama. He fits the need.
They really need the bulk inside eh. So parang ngayon si Ratliff, parang nagmumukha siyang Junmar dun sa So if we are to compare, Ratliff is like their Junmar Fajardo if it was San Miguel. So ganun yung nagmumukhang
Pero dito si Ratliff dominant.
Oo.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And because of him, with Korea, they have to qualify to China FIBA World Cup, right?
Yes.
Because South Korea won, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They helped us.
Yeah.
Yes, let's come in. Yeah.
So speaking,
I think it's also that there's no dominant Asian player. That there's no Asian import that could dominate like an American import here, no? I mean, pero siguro like we've already attracted Terrence Jones. I mean, if we could attract Terrence Jones to play in the PBA, I think we have like, luxury naman also and the advantage to also ask a Asian import to join. But I think it's for coaches. Is that Asian import? Will that Asian import help us? Win the championship or get into a playoff?
Yes, that's the biggest question eh.
Right?
If I put in an Asian import, parang how do I make sure that I will maximize his capabilities?
Yeah. What I feel.
Jones, grabe, dominant.
Yeah. Super.
Super.
He does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nakuha siya ng kontrapuelo lang what's his name? Si McCullough, di ba?
Yeah.
Chris.
Na-kontrapelo siya ni Macaulay. At the same time, he didn't have much help. So yun na lang. That's the most I'll say about it. Okay.
Oh yeah. They were beaten by San Miguel's team play. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, another thing. Speaking of these imports, no disrespect to the other Asian countries, but I think that middle ground between what you guys said, imports who don't really fit in and are not able to give you monstrous numbers. There's that, and then above that, of course, the ceiling. You have these world imports who get those numbers. In between that, I think we have that middle ground. These are players who come from higher ranked Asian countries. These are countries that we are scared of every time Gilas has a game. Scared countries we're afraid of because they're strong. For starters, there's Korea. So we always learn a lesson from them. So by bringing in those guys, I'm sure there's bringing in guys from those countries to play as imports here. I think there's something that we could learn. So if you're a PBA, if you're a PBA team, you want to maximize your Asian import spot, then you look for that guy from a higher ranked country. Be able to raise your game too.
Pero the problem with that, Claro, is if you look at the teams that are ranked higher than the Philippines, who are you going to get? You just get one player. Sino kukunin mo?
That's the thing. You got to do your scouting.
Because the thing is, those players in those higher ranked teams function way so much, way better if they are
A team.
as a team.
System.
Oh,
Yes, within the structure,
pero
yes.
individually, sa Korea, wala akong maisip actually, except for, well, Lee Seong-jun. Eric Lee Sander is already old, so hindi na siya pwede maging import.
Herjay. Pero wala na yun.
Wala. It's
Herjay 30 years younger, or even Shingdong pa, that would be nice.
Pero on the
Yeah.
top of my head, even watching the World Cup, wala akong maisip na player na, say, for example, ilagay mo sa Colombian jeep o sa terra firma jeep, and then that Korean import will turn the tide for
I don't see an Asian player turning
wala.
like
That's really the problem.
No, it's more of like to help the world player. Pero parang extra, it's an extra touch. Right, yeah. Speaking of that, segue lang ng konti. I know that Alab for a time, I think they got these 2 Korean brothers as their imports. And I think they didn't really last there. I think what happened was one brother served as the world import and the other brother served as the Asian import. So medyo lugi sila there, that one world spot, and then you had to go up against a towering world import. So dun sila nalugi.
Yeah.
Speaking of ABL, actually ABL, I think, I don't know pero perspective ko lang, because this recent season, di ba, ang ABL already adapted yung 3 world imports. Inalis nila yung Asian import or yung ASEAN import. Because perhaps of that same, hindi naman kasi yung same issue, basta yung na-experience siguro ng PBA din na these regional imports, sabihin natin, is really, can't really push a team to another level. For lack of a better term. Diba? So yun lang nagiging issue dito eh.
Yeah.
Tama kasi basketball is personality-driven sport. Ayan, okay? You see the players, you see them play. And unlike football, yung American football, they're covered with mask and helmets so you don't see them Basketball players, you know them from jump ball kasi you see them, you see their faces, you see some part of their body kasi the arms and legs are not totally covered.
Yeah.
So that's why they are subject to admiration and popularity kasi kilala mo kaagad yung mukha eh.
Oo, siya yung may tattoo dito, yung mga ganun,
ganyan.
diba?
May gwapo, diba?
So maganda yung hairdo.
Hey, it's part of the culture. Yeah.
Kaya going back to what Jay mentioned and also what Claudia mentioned there's really no Asian import that you could put to the NBA and then parang would have that clout of popularity and yung being known kaagad because they do not really dominate the game. Kaya we're so enamored with imports who dominate the game. Kasi, well, that's what we're
they
used to.
They were signed up for a reason. Yeah, since childhood, I can remember Strutters and Bennett, San Miguel is easily
even
getting
way
their
back,
dunks.
like Hackett and Bates and the likes. Yes.
Billy Ray Bates. Yeah.
So that's
the legend of the Black Superman.
That's the basketball culture that we've been accustomed to And that's why parang ang hirap tanggapin siguro na magpapasok ka ng Asian import na is a good player, great player, good ball distributor, sabihin natin. Pero, alam mo yun, naka-associate kasi sa salitang import na dapat ganito ka.
Yeah, you're Superman.
There's a certain number that you have to meet. So, yun.
Ito magandang question. Si Jeremy Lin is an Asian guy, right? He's from Taiwan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tama. Okay. So, if he comes here as an Asian import, will he dominate?
I think he will because he played in the NBA. The NBA is a different level. Yes.
Kasi may ano na siya may resume na siya na NBA
That guy will go Steph Curry.
That guy will go Steph Curry.
That guy will go Steph Curry. He will have that license to shoot.
So pwedeng ganon. So someone like Jeremy Lin who's played in the NBA, diba? They could come to the PBA and play.
Yes.
What do you think? Diba? That's a good way to look at it. If you want to see an Asian player, Jeremy Lin, and I'm sure the PBA would love to have Jeremy Lin here, marketing-wise.
Yes,
yes, that would be awesome.
Perfect. That's a perfect import. Asian import, playing in the NBA, Insanity, comes here, marketing, wow, when he was here, di ba? Everyone loved. Na-associate tayo with him eh. Filipinos kasi Asian siya, di ba?
Yeah, we're from the
If he
same
plays
continent.
here, number one, I know he'll draw a lot of people. That one I'm sure.
Yes.
But will he be able to carry a team? Kaya ba niya?
I think so because of NBA level. Like, look, you guys said that Terrence Jones was a monster.
Grabe yung monster.
That guy in his peak was a starter, starting for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, number one. First
That's why I was amazed.
Yeah.
I was amazed they got someone that level. Yeah.
I guess if you put Jeremy Lin in the Governor's Cup, he will be able to carry a team to a deep run because the thing about NBA, parang you don't just enter the NBA by merely talent. Parang you should have a different level of talent to enter the NBA.
That's true.
Yeah.
Going to siguro one of the best examples that I could think of as of the moment. If you remember Jimmer Fredette, di ba? In the NBA medyo lang, di ba? Parang so-so. Pero when he went to China, parang he became a basketball god.
The 40-point
Wow.
He's the Jordan. He's the Jordan there.
He became the Jordan.
Yeah.
So
bringing
somebody like a Jeremy Lin to, let's say, one of the PBA teams, it will be a big boost to them.
Another thing. If you're the PBA team who gets Jeremy Lin as your Asian import, good move. Why? You're making the most out of your spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pero parang we didn't agree kanina eh.
Si Jeremy Lin, tama si Lawrence, deep playoff run. To be more specific, semis.
Believable, like a shade below Terrence Jones. But again, we have to factor in this is in our fantasy world here of Asian imports again, bringing them back. Yeah.
Pero on other factors, Jeremy Lin can really bring a lot of other things that related to basketball outside of the game.
Yes.
Like the fans
role model.
Will come.
Yun, tama.
Fans will come, marketing factor will come, kung sino man kukuha ang import kay Jeremy Lin, maging endorser. For example, sabihin mo, punta tayo, hypothetical example, rain or shine. Hindi may hawak-hawak rin sa malaking brush tulad ng binibili.
So everyone's
do you actually see Jeremy Lin holding a big paintbrush?
Well, if the team gets him, they'll use him for that. That's part of your deal.
Yeah, that's part of your deal.
The teams are corporate.
Pero ayun, he can bring a lot to the table. Kasi yun yung perhaps na gustong mangyari ng PBA siguro ng time na yun na they try to bring Asian imports. Pero when it comes to basketball, to the game itself, Jeremy Lin, he can bring a team very semis na. Pinakamalayo na yung semis because we have to remember.
Boys, may tatawag lang sa akin. I'll be back.
Sige.
Okay.
I will explain this Jeremy Lin side kasi si Jeremy Lin like what happened to the guys like Terrence Jones or KJ McCullough, they did not bring their respective teams to the championship, diba? Even though highly talented sila because they have this certain target at their backs, diba? At saka pagdating ng series na yon, na siya well scouted na siya, diba? So magiging problema na yon. Tapos another consideration, we have a lot of talented guards dito sa Pilipinas din. There are a lot of capable guys that can guard him, diba?
And then again, if you bring someone at that level, yes, he'll eat up some playing time. Everyone will be forced to raise their game.
Exactly.
Yes. But of course, they bring in more competitive players or players from a higher level, but that will be that will take a higher budget, of course. Again, there are other Asian leagues now that are much bigger.
Yeah.
Lawrence mentioned that already.
Yes.
Before we bring in those big stars, ano ba yung consideration? Sabi ni Lawrence, money talks.
Yes.
There are a lot of leagues that are paying a lot,
especially for imports.
Money for imports. Sa China pa lang, punta ka. Tapos then you have this Korean league, this Japanese league, di ba? So, it's a big challenge for the PBA to really bring this concept of Asian imports back. However, ito, iwanan natin dito sa question na to. If ever the PBA decides to bring back these Asian guys, even a player or a team, having all these considerations, what do you think yung magiging the best middle ground for the PBA? Starting with you, Claudia.
Sa akin,
Hmm.
you know, it's hard to bring Asian imports talaga. Kasi, number one, for level of play, wala eh. We're at par with them na eh. Individually. Right? But what I'm thinking, unlike before, I was watching yung mga PBA Rush, diba? They had a team, diba? Yung mga invitational.
Yeah.
Can't we bring an Asian team to play in a conference?
But that might be a bit tough because, again, the PBA rules are so different, right?
No, but that's why adjustment yun. Silang team na yun eh.
Yeah.
But
Unless...
But I love the idea.
It's a good one from the get-go.
Yeah. But the Asian import, I like it. Yun nga lang, how can they fit? How can it attract? Kasi it will, like, tama si Jay. Like, imagine mo, Jeremy Lin holding a rain or shine brush or yung
Hindi mo wala yung image niya sa utak ko.
I need to think of another image. Also, this is fun.
Yung mga, ano pa bang mga, or naka-Alaska siya, umiinom siya. Di ba?
Umiinom ng gatas.
That's a good...
Or Jeremy Lin, nasa pier kasi global port. Carrying cargo.
Okay, nag-drive ng forklift.
You have Michael Beasley having a Hinebra. Something like that.
But imagine that. Galing ng Asian import coming here holding a Filipino local brand. It will also boost local products, the PBA. Yun nga lang, we have to find the right Asian import. But I love the idea.
Yeah. Okay. So the verdict is it's possible, but
it's possible.
We just need the teams to pump in a bit more money. But of course, it's easier said than done because there are so many reasons inside and outside of that. So I guess I don't know. That's the verdict for us. But Lawrence, perhaps, or
what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think?
In the immediate future, I don't see it happening because of the coronavirus and everything.
Yeah.
Parang people would choose to play locally. Even in volleyball, Kim Yoon Kung, who is a very popular South Korean player, returned to South Korea to play professionally. So may ganong trend na the players tend to play locally. Well, kasi mas mababa nga naman yung nila, gagastusin. At the same time, this whole coronavirus thing will force you to not travel extensively. So for 2021, siguro I don't really see it happening, but possibly 2022, you can start to pull in Asian imports. Maganda yung idea about having a guest team. However, it's all subject to the expenses, saan mo patitirahin, parang even the subsidy for the meals daily. So if they can find a sponsor for that team, for that conference, that would be nice, like a corporate sponsor. That would be okay. But who that's another question. Who would gamble or who would invest their money for such a short conference? Sabi natin 2-3 months lang. And then how do you see your investment returning after that? So ganyan. Siguro what's nice for now, we bring back the Asian, we let the Asian imports who we know of play in the PBA already. This might be the aged Asian imports, but we know them already. So like
Fadi El Khatib.
Let's say Fadi El Khatib or even Haddadi or even Kamrani. So
this reminds me how aging European football players will play the Major League Soccer in the United States.
Diba
That's
before,
yeah.
That's a good point, Claro, diba? When the NASL started in the USA, they had Pele in one of the teams, diba? New York Cosmos, even though he was like 40s already. Just to have that, just to attract eyeballs, so to speak. Attract
Right.
popularity. So, baka yung mga bagong Asian imports kasi, the Filipino fans might not know. Pero the likes of, you invite si Barami, si Haddadi, si El Khatib, si Kim Min-gu ng South Korea. I cannot forget that name, Kim Min-gu.
And yung mahabang buhok sa mahabang sa China.
He nearly killed Kilas during the FIBA Asia 2013.
Kinarga niya yung Koreang solo nun.
Ayun, yung mga ganong imports, Asian imports na, alam mo yun, not really that old. They still have a few gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
But are already known by the Filipino fans. That would be a nice attraction to have.
Meron din isa pa, yung Taiwanese James Yap. I forget his name, but that guy couldn't miss from 3.
Yung mga ganyan.
Ayun, mga ganon.
Actually, maganda ngayon kasi puro Korean fab na ngayon. Mga K-drama.
Well, if you can get Yoon Bin play for Ginebra, that would be a big thing.
Yeah, I think they'll have to play in Philippine Arena.
Well, hindi pala smart pala si Yoon Bin.
Guwapo, di ba? Wala ng basketball ang mga.
If you can get Yoon Bin play for Talk and Text, just kulang ang Philippine Arena for seats.
Yeah, that's true. Siguro best of 7 yun. So yeah.
Best of 9 and then
best of 19.
Best of 9 and then you have Yoon Bin in the starting lineup pero you pull him out after 3 minutes. Just to show the crowd na si Yoon Bin ganyan, and then they all take their pictures and then pull him out. Yun, okay na yun.
Kala ko first dead ball, wala na.
Ano naman, mga siguro mga 5 balik sa court, ganyan, 5 balik sa court.
Market mo nun, hindi ng basketball.
Diba? 5 balik sa court, all of the crowd will be able to take their pictures already or videos and then pull him out.
Okay.
Everybody satisfied, everybody happy.
Yeah. And they can say that they not only got to see him live, they got to see him play basketball.
Like me.
Look at me. Okay. Medyo malayo to. I got to see Curry play basketball in the NBA. Just don't ask me which Curry.
That's a good point.
I think you know the answer there.
Yeah, because there's 3 of them who played professionally in the NBA.
That's an excellent point.
So I got to see one.
But
it's a giveaway if I mention what year.
just to go back, if there are Asian imports na you bring to the PBA, it's the more known Asian imports. They might be a little bit older, pero sila na yung sort of may popularity and fan base within the Philippines.
That's true. Yeah.
Tumatak na.
So imagine having, let's say, El Khatib. Kahit anong team yan. Yung si El Khatib yun. So may ganong mentality na.
That's true.
But again, our verdict is, it comes with money. I think Corona aside, something, or we hope that it's something that PBA could have looked at maybe in the near future or medium term, just to see as part of building the game. Because of course, sport is continuing to grow. But anything else, guys? Maybe before we wrap it up, I think we got our verdict pretty much in a nutshell. Sergey.
Pero if anything, just aside lang, ginawa na ng PBA yung mag-invite ng buong team talaga, foreign team. If you remember back in the PBA D-League 2017, and if I'm not mistaken, the entire Malaysian youth national team came dito sa Pilipinas to play in the D-League.
Yes.
And they were carried by Josel Dosi Company. Yung Blue Star ang pangalan. Pero they carried the name, the West Sports Malaysia Dragons.
Pwede kasi Pro League naman eh.
Tapos they played in the D-League. I think they've only won a game out of 11 games.
Wow.
So, ayun, ginawa ng PBA yun. Pero going to the Asian imports part, you have to consider na tignan muna nila kung sino ba yung mga pangalan na kukunin. So, of course, they want to get the big stars to maximize the potential, di ba? Now, the next thing is, where are these players going ba? Saan ba sila pumupunta? So, they're going to China, they're going to Japan for a variety of reasons. One could be money, Two is yung competition. So, ano ba yung kayang kontrolin doon ng professional league dito? If anything, if they're talking about money, siguro, or magiging market, siguro, it's the company's prerogative kung paano sila mag-expand outside of the Philippines. Diba? Kung paano makikerry ng Asian import na, or kung paano ma-maximize ng team yung Asian import na yun. Doesn't matter if they expand regionally or paano ba, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Or, and other things, siguro, what the PBA can control is competition. You can attract these Asian imports to the Philippines because of the level of competition here. So, paano magagawa ng Pilipinas yon? Paano magiging attractive sa isang player tulad ni Hamed Haddadi, nila Samadik Habarami, nila Arsalan Kasemi, all these Middle Eastern players that are playing right now in China? Na paano ba maging attractive sa kanila ang Pilipinas? Diba? The only thing I can see here is if the Philippines really start winning again sa Asia.
Tama.
Diba?
We can bring people in.
We can bring people in. Kasi,
get the attention.
Oo, kasi these Asian superstars might think, bakit ganito yung mga basketball dito sa Pilipinas? Ang lalakas itong mga to. I have to check it out. Diba? So, a lot of consideration, again, nandun pa rin yung sentimental reasons ko na sana bumalik ang Asian imports dito on that same idea na 13 feet combined. Pero to attract the big names, to maximize the potential, I think might begin with the initiative na to make the Philippines an attractive spot to play basketball. Yun lang yan.
Claudia, do you have any final verdict on this Asian imports in the PBA before we wrap things up?
I agree. Yung kay Jay tsaka kay Lawrence. We need to also level up our competition. Tama. Win. We need to win, level up our competition. Tama. To attract them. Tama.
Great stuff. All right. So, okay, once again, this is Claro Manzano, Lawrence Fernandez, Jay De La Cruz, Claudia Perrine, and again, who the heck are we? Should I have said on the podcast, who the heck are we?
Ano, isa-stop ko na to, ha?
Sige,
Yeah, okay na.